That night felt too still, as if the air waited for something unseen. Rex Dixon set a Nannycam in his son's room after hearing his stories of strange shapes in the dark. The house slept while the camera quietly watched. Hours passed slowly as shadows moved across the walls. Then, a white glow appeared from the corner of the room, soft and floating like mist in the air. It drifted near the small crib where the young son rested, who was still under 2 years old. The light hovered gently, brushing the edge of the blanket as if testing its presence. Rex and his wife stared at the screen in frozen silence, unable to breathe as the glow traced itself across their child's body. The faint light glided from his arms to his chest with a slow, careful movement, like a hand trying to understand what it touched. The glow brightened, then grew softer again, circling the small body in an eerie dance of pale color. The light finally settled near the child's middle, holding still, as if watching him sleep. The room stayed quiet, and every second stretched like forever. Then, the glow trembled once, then faded into nothing, leaving only darkness behind.
Stop moving.
Ryan's face.
Rex ran inside the room, finding his son sleeping peacefully under the blanket. The air felt cold, and the camera showed only silence and shadows. Another story from the deep corners of the web was shared one night, and it began with a simple clip from a small Nannycam. The footage showed a young girl sitting alone in her room, humming softly to herself while playing with her toys. The walls were painted bright, and her laughter filled the air like sunlight. Everything seemed calm until a sound came from beyond the frame. A low growl rolled through the room, deep and rough like an animal's breath. The girl stopped singing, her eyes looking toward the corner, unsure of what had made the sound. She stayed still for a moment, then smiled again, as if nothing strange had been heard. Her small hands reached for another toy, and her voice began to hum once more. Then it happened. From the shadowed edge of the frame, a long, thin arm slid into view. The skin looked gray and stretched, and it moved with a speed that felt unreal. Before the girl could turn, the hand wrapped around her, pulling her from the floor with a sudden, violent motion. After the mystery of the vanished girl, another strange video began to circle online, one that seemed quieter, yet far more unsettling. It came from a YouTuber named Celerity789, who had been using a simple baby monitor in his home. The device was meant to capture soft sounds from the nursery, yet something else began to echo through it instead. One night, the calm hum of static shifted into a deep, rumbling tone. Then, a voice was heard. It sounded muffled at first, as if coming from a far place, and then another voice began to answer it. The two seemed to talk back and forth, their words tangled in strange rhythms that no one could clearly understand. The sound carried a weight that felt unnatural, like whispers from somewhere beyond the room. Celerity listened closely, trying to believe it was only radio chatter from passing truckers, since baby monitors often shared the same frequency. Yet, the more he listened, the colder the room began to feel. The voices rose and fell in strange tones, sometimes soft, sometimes harsh, as if arguing or calling out for something unseen. Listeners online claimed to hear names being spoken and phrases that made no sense at all. Some said the voices carried emotion, almost human, while others swore they were not of this world.
Oh, God.
If the voices were only radio noise, they left behind an unease that words could never explain. After the whispers from the baby monitor faded, another strange video appeared online. It came from a YouTuber named Walter Dudich, who had placed a Nannycam above his sleeping child. The room stayed quiet and dark at first, but then something began to move through the shadows. A thin beam of white light slipped slowly across the room. It stayed straight and smooth, moving with a strange purpose. It was not cast by a lamp or a passing car. It drifted on its own, steady and calm, until it reached the crib. The light stopped right above the child's head, glowing softly over the small body. For a few seconds, it hovered there as if it was watching. The light seemed alive, silent, and curious, touching nothing yet filling the space with a cold shimmer. Then it began to move again, floating away until it vanished into the dark corner of the room. When the video spread online, people argued over what had been seen. Some said it was a camera glitch, while others claimed a spirit had visited the sleeping child. No one agreed, yet all felt the same chill, as if something unseen had truly entered that room. As stories of strange happenings spread online, another video surfaced, one that felt quieter, yet far more unsettling. It came from a woman named Michaela Long, who was babysitting her small niece one calm evening. The house stayed silent, and the only sound was the faint hum of the baby monitor beside her. Curious, she glanced at the screen to check if the child was still asleep.
Parents should have left contact information for an exorcist.
The image that appeared stopped her completely. Her niece was motionless, her small body upside down in a perfect headstand. Her arms rested at her sides and her head pressed firmly against the bed. She was breathing slowly, her chest rising and falling, yet she never moved an inch. The position looked unnatural, too twisted for a sleeping child, and Michaela could not understand how it was even possible.
Star Michaela Long baffled the internet when she shared this picture from her first time babysitting.
The pale blue light from the monitor wrapped the girl in a soft, eerie glow. It gave her figure a ghost-like shape, still and silent inside the crib. Michaela's heart raced as she lifted her phone and took a quick picture, hoping that someone else might help her believe what she was seeing.
The girl apparently put her niece to bed, but then noticed something strange on the baby monitor. The little girl in a full-on headstand in her crib.
The moment could have been funny in another setting, yet something about that stillness felt wrong. The quiet room, the cold blue glow, and the strange shape of the sleeping child made the air heavy with unease. No one ever learned if the girl slept like that again, or if something else had watched over her that night. Through the quiet stream of eerie videos, another recording found its way online, this time from a YouTuber named Cats, Dogs, and a Squirrel. She had set up a Nannycam to capture her young son Connor as he played in his room. His laughter filled the screen, warm and bright, the kind that made any parent smile. For a moment, it felt like an ordinary scene of family joy. Then, a sound was heard. It was faint at first, almost hidden beneath the boy's laughter. The noise came again, soft yet clear, and something about it felt strangely human. Connor looked toward the empty space beside him and laughed even harder, as though someone unseen was playing along. His small eyes sparkled with delight, unaware of how unusual the moment had become. Curious and unsettled, Cats replayed the footage several times, each time growing more uneasy. The strange voice-like sound echoed twice, followed by her son's cheerful giggles. She decided to email the video to her family, asking if anyone could recognize what it was. Her sister-in-law replied almost instantly. The noise, she said, sounded exactly like the sound her late father used to make her laugh as a baby. The room fell silent as the family listened again, realizing the resemblance. Some called it a coincidence, while others believed something gentle had returned for a brief visit. Whatever the truth was, the child's laughter remained, pure and unafraid, echoing with the warmth of something unseen. A quiet December night wrapped around the LeMay home as Ashley LeMay checked the Ring security camera she had installed in her daughter's room for peace of mind. Her children slept soundly, their soft breathing filling the house with calm. Then, an uneasy noise broke the silence.
Ashley LeMay to keep an eye on her 3 daughters and seem close by while working her overnight nurse shifts.
Alyssa, her middle daughter, heard something faint inside her room. She thought one of her sisters was awake, but the moment she stepped inside, she felt the air change. The shadows in the corners seemed alive, and the light from the camera painted the walls in an eerie glow. The sound came again, low and deliberate, as if it wanted her attention.
The camera went up. 8-year-old Alyssa heard something strange coming from her room.
Well, first what happened, I was in the hallway, I thought it was my sister, so I heard some music. It's like tiptoed to the window, so I come upstairs, and I hear some banging noise. I was like, who is that?
Confusion turned into fear as the noise grew clearer, almost human. It spoke with a strange rhythm, calm yet demanding, as if someone unseen was trying to control her. Alyssa called for her parents, her voice sharp with panic, and then silence filled the house again. The air felt heavier, and the faint static from the speaker lingered like a whisper refusing to fade. Every second stretched longer as she waited, trembling, for a response that never came. The room stayed still, except for the soft red light of the camera blinking in the dark, recording everything.
Parents saw as Alyssa searched for the source of the noise.
Who is that?
I'm your best friend. I'm Santa Claus.
Mommy!
I'm Santa Claus. Don't you want to be my best friend?
Ashley rushed in, her heart pounding, and saw her daughter standing pale beside the softly blinking camera. She unplugged the device, ending the sound instantly, though the uneasy feeling lingered in the air like static.
Watch the video, and I mean, like, my heart just, like, you know, like, I'm like, I didn't even get to the end where she's screaming like mommy before, like, you know, I ran inside.
Later, Ashley learned that someone had hacked into the device using a stolen password from a data breach. The explanation seemed simple, yet the memory of that night stayed heavy in her mind. Every detail of the voice, the tone, and the strange presence behind the lens refused to fade, as if the camera had captured something far beyond technology. In a quiet room, a mother and her young daughter played together, their laughter soft and bright. The air felt calm, the kind of peace that makes a home feel safe. Then, without warning, the lamp beside them flickered. Its light dimmed slowly until the room was swallowed by a faint gray glow. The mother paused, unsure if it was a power issue, but before she could move, the door behind them creaked open by itself. The sound was slow and sharp, cutting through the silence. Her daughter looked toward the door with wide, uncertain eyes. Then, the chair next to them slid across the floor and toppled forward, crashing toward them with sudden force. The noise echoed through the room, and for a brief moment, it felt as if the whole space had come alive. Fear gripped the mother as the chill of the unseen pressed closer. She grabbed her daughter tightly, her heart racing, and ran out of the room as fast as she could. Behind her, the light flickered again, and the door slowly closed, as if whatever had been there was sealing itself back inside. Inside a quiet home in Overland Park, Kansas, a Nannycam recorded a scene that felt almost unreal. The house belonged to a young mother named Katie O'Connor. She was 21 and at home that afternoon when the horror began. The door had opened to a familiar face, a woman named Cheyenne, whom Katie had trusted and often welcomed inside. What followed was a moment that turned safety into terror.
Okay. Don't move. Oh my gosh.
As soon as Cheyenne entered, two men followed behind her. Before Katie could understand what was happening, one of the men grabbed her by the neck. The others began to tear through her belongings while she was held still, unable to move or call for help. The house, once warm and safe, filled with the sound of drawers opening and footsteps rushing across the floor.
Shut the door lock.
Please, I need.
Where's the cat?
Oh my God.
Lock the door. Don't say nothing. Where is it?
It's on the wall.
Okay, where's the video footage? Get it right now. I said there's a
You're making me. It's
Get it.
The intruders whispered among themselves as they searched for valuables. Their words carried fear when one of them spotted a cable near the wall. They realized too late that a camera had been watching them all along. In panic, they tried to turn it away, unaware that the footage was already being sent to the cloud.
Hey, Chad, get the fucking tape.
I'm not trying to get this right now.
Get the tape and Tara.
No, I'm telling you that it's Wi-Fi.
The tension grew as their voices argued in the background, knowing the evidence could no longer be erased. Katie stayed silent, her heart racing, until the nightmare finally ended and they fled with her cash, tools, and a small safe.
What the Please stop.
When the police later found Cheyenne and one of the men, the betrayal felt deeper than the crime itself. The third man, the one who held Katie, was never caught, leaving a shadow that still lingers over that home. On the night of March 5th, 2024, a small girl stayed awake long after bedtime. Her toys were spread around her, and she kept playing quietly, lost in her own world. The house was still, and nothing seemed unusual, yet something unseen was already watching her. According to her mother, the family later saw everything through the room's surveillance camera. Around 11, the girl stopped playing and looked toward the side of the room. Her lips moved as if she was replying to someone, though the room was empty. Then, one of her toys switched on by itself. The same tune the girl had been humming played again, soft and slow. The toy's lights flickered faintly while the girl watched it. For a few moments, she sat still, and then her body began to move under the bed. Her fingers clutched the blanket as if something unseen was tugging her away. The melody continued, almost taunting her, echoing through the quiet room. The camera caught her legs sliding farther until her small frame vanished completely into the darkness beneath her bed, leaving only the toy still playing that haunting, gentle song. The footage showed her disappearing from view, her hands sliding beneath the frame as if something had drawn her closer. When her mother ran to check, she found her daughter under the bed, frightened and silent. The toy was still glowing beside her. Later, the family kept watching the footage, confused by what they saw. They believed something had used the toy to call the child closer, something they could not see. The toy was later turned off and put away, yet the sound it played that night still stayed in their minds. On February 21st, 2021, a nursery camera recorded something that left viewers frozen. The clock neared midnight when the small child stirred in her bed. The toys around her sat still, and the air in the room felt heavy and quiet.
21, late night. They've got a toddler and a nursery camera.
The girl slowly sat up, her eyes drifting toward the floor. Something unseen seemed to catch her attention. For a few seconds, she watched the space beneath her bed, her breathing soft and uneven. Then she began to move.
Music, so she tried to grab it, and then she goes to under the bed to try and retrieve it, I'm assuming.
The footage showed her body sliding toward the edge, her tiny hands pressing against the floor. Her mouth opened, and she screamed for her mother, her voice trembling with fear. The sound grew weaker as her body disappeared under the bed, pulled out of sight in a motion that looked too smooth to be her own.
Look at her legs here, okay?
The camera stayed fixed, recording only the silence that followed. No shadows moved, and no figure appeared. It was as if the child had been taken by something the camera could not see.
It's kind of grainy, so it's hard to say. I think probably at some point she just bent her feet and her toes do push, but it's hard to...
When the clip was shared, some viewers said she had crawled under by herself. Others swore that something had dragged her away. The truth remained trapped in that dimly lit nursery, still unexplained. It was late at night when the nursery camera began recording. The baby's room was quiet, the crib resting in the center, its sides tall and thin. Moonlight slipped through the window and painted soft shapes across the floor. Everything seemed calm until a faint rustle broke the silence. The baby slowly rose from his blanket, his small hands gripping the rail. For a moment, he only swayed gently, his sleepy eyes half open. Then, in a way no one could explain, he climbed up onto the narrow edge of the crib, his tiny feet balanced on the thin border as if guided by something unseen. The camera caught him standing there, perfectly still, his body steady where no toddler should ever balance. Every clip you just saw hides a question that no one has answered. Were these simple glitches? Or did something darker reveal itself on camera? If these moments gave you chills, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more haunting real stories caught on tape.